Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we're in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Lynn Nesbitt, and I'm chairing today's panel. Joining me on the panel via Zoom are Adila Del Oro and Clay Purvis. Our assessor today is Mackenzie Omachinsky, and our administrative personnel is Fran Pacoto. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony, followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 1 through 8 on our docket today. Ms. Pacoto, please affirm the assessor's and applicant's testimony.
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Mackenzie Omachinsky.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Howard Lindsay McCubbin.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
And good morning, Mr. Omachinsky and Mr. McCubbin.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Let's start right in then with item number 1 on our agenda. This is file number 242543, 634 Broadway Avenue. Before we begin, Mr. McCubbin, I'd like to confirm that this is an appeal of the assessed value of the property.
That is correct, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Omachinsky, you may begin with your evidence, please.
Yeah, thank you. This is file number 24-2543, roll number 12090887000. The address is 634 Broadway. Roll year 2025, reference date April 1st, 2023. Assessed value $1,744,000. Classification 20, liability T. Number of buildings 1 with 3 stories. The actual year built is 1911, with the effective year built being 1930. There is 21 suites. And then if we go to, page 3, for the income value summary for number of units, we have 21 2-bedroom units for a total of 21 units. The average monthly rent per unit is $932.59. The gross potential rent is $235,013. The vacancy rate is 3.6%. The effective gross income is $226,553. The expense rate is 59.19%. The net operating income we have at 92,456. The capitalization rate is 5.3%. With the market value per suite being $83,047.62. On to page 4, we have our rent comparables. The effective year built for these comparables ranges from 1928 to 1975. The total number of units range from 17 to 48, number of bachelor 0 to 6, number of 1-bedroom 2 to 20, and number of 2-bedroom being 3 to 24. The average monthly rent per unit for these comparables are $962 to $1,037. The next page is our capitalization rate information on page 5, and then our capitalization rate evidence. On 6, the following is a sample of actual sales that took place during the reference period. The purpose of showing these individual capitalization rates is to illustrate the accuracy of the model and substantiate the model-derived capitalization rates. They are not meant to be comparable specific to the subject property. Page 7 is the Municipal Assessment Act. And then 8, we have an aerial photo of the property, as well as a street photo. And then 9 to 11, we have some interior photos of the subject property. On 12, we have a permit. This was back in 2009, but it was a fire repair for interior alterations. And then on 13, we have another exterior alterations. This dates back to October of 2013. And on 14, we have a permit issued in November of 2014. And this is an interior alterations to an existing 3-story family dwelling building, all 3 floors, including basement being done. Suites to receive new layouts and upgraded kitchens, exteriors, egress stairs to be replaced, and mechanical and electrical work done. The declared construction value for this was $1.2 million. And that would be my presentation. I'm open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Omachinsky. Mr. McCubbin, questions for the assessor?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes. So, Mr. Olachinsky, if I can turn your attention to page 1 of your brief, please.
Yes.
So the property was constructed in the original age is 1911, right?
Correct.
And the effective age is 1930. How was that calculated?
It would be done through the permits that were completed. There'd be an assessor who would be assigned the permits and would determine an effective age that would be appropriate for the scope of the work done.
So it was just it wasn't a mathematical calculation in any way, was that? It was just sort of like, I think this is what it should be, and that's anything like.
Yeah, and then
simplifying it, but I mean, there's no backup with respect to I guess depreciation tables used or whatever. Yeah. No. Okay. Yes. Okay, so if I can turn your attention to page 4 of your presentation, please. So you have 4 comparisons there: Cornish, Furby, Young, and Balmoral. Were they chosen specifically to support the model generated potential income, or were they part of?
Yes.
They were chosen specifically to support it. They weren't a part of the.
Sorry. So these are comparables that are actuals. Like these numbers would be actuals reported by the comparables to support the subject property's model driven value.
So they range in age from 1930 no, sorry, 1928 to 1975, right? So quite wide range, right? So I'm gonna take it for what it is, I guess. Anyway, the monthly rental per unit is $932.59, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so was the income and expense statements looked at in review for today's hearing? Or?
They were not. This would be a model driven. This is a model driven value.
Okay. Now, with respect to the cap rate, finally, so you applied a cap rate of 5.3%. Can you point me in the direction of your materials there where you can draw that 5.3% from with respect to applying it to the subject property?
Right. So the 5.3% for the cap rate is a model value.
Okay.
I would point to this, the capitalization rate, the table on 5 with the city of Winnipeg for low-rise multifamily being between 4.75 and 5.35, or sorry, 5.45. It
Just
kind
bear
of
with me for a second. I lost the page. Sorry. Just bear
yeah,
with
no
me.
worries.
I lost my page. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so just the city of Winnipeg with our capitalization rate, the low 20th percentile being 4.75, and then the 80th being 5.45, so it being on the higher end of those tables. And then for the capitalization rate evidence, I could point to for the addresses, probably the best would be 32 Arden. I know the year built would be higher than our subject, but it is a 5.02 cap rate compared to the 5.3 for the subject property.
Sorry, which one is that again?
32 Arden Ave. Sorry, this would be on page 6. I apologize.
32 Arden. Okay, so that'll be your best comparison figure, right? Is that what you're saying? Sorry.
At a glance, I would say I would point
Yeah.
to that. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. And it has a newer effective age too, right?
Yeah. So that property also does also have some work done to it.
Yeah, like it's the effective age has changed drastically from 1969, right, to 85, right? That's a huge jump, right? So
Right. Yeah, and it's similar to the effective age applied to the subject property. I think that this subject property would be 19 years, if I'm not correct, compared to the 24, or sorry, 26. No, I apologize. 16 for 32 Arden.
sorry, what? Oh, you're speaking of 16 years apart, like between the effective age and the year built. Is that what you're
Yeah,
speaking?
the effective age added.
And then going through, sorry, and then the last thing you said there about the subject property, right? The age of the subject property is okay, it was 1911. So you're trying to compare the span in actual years, effective years of the two?
Yeah, yes, and yeah, in this case, I am. It's not the best comparison for the year built compared to effective age. It's just at a glance, this is the one that I would choose.
But you do realize that the property you choose is a lot newer, right? Than the
Right,
subject,
right. So
right?
that might not be the
Construction
best.
and everything, construction-wise, technique, everything, right?
Mhm.
Okay, and that's a 5.2. Oh, sorry, that's the 5. Yeah, 5.02. Those are all the questions I have, Madam Chair, and I'd like all my questions to carry forward to the remainder of the docket. Uh, in regards to the cap
Thank
rate.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Del Oro, questions for the assessor?
I do not have any questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Purvis?
I also have no questions. They're already asked and answered. Thank you.
Okay, I do have a couple questions. Mr. Omachinsky, the sale that you reported on page 2, did you look into that sale and would you consider it an arm's length sale?
I was not able, just due to time constraints, look into that sale. So I do not know. I can't speak if it was a arm's length transaction or not.
Okay, post sale though, there was substantial work done on this property.
Yes, yeah,
I think you indicated about 1.2 million for the largest permit, complete
Yes.
the model of the interior of the property.
yeah. That would be
Looks like apartments were deconstructed and reconstructed and upgraded mechanical electricity.
yeah. It looked like a very full interior renovation completed back
Okay.
in.
And the pictures that are included in your brief, are they pictures that the assessor took, or are they stock photos from a website?
This would be photos provided by the company on the website.
And have you been in the apartment?
I have not inspected the property, no.
So do you know then the stock photos that are shown on the website, does that represent all the suites or some of the suites or one of the suites, or do you know?
I can't speak to if it would. I just would look at the scope of the work done for the 2014 permit and assume that it would be throughout the whole apartment building for all the suites. But I don't know. I can't say for certain. No.
Okay. And just a last question also on your cap rate evidence, page 6.
Mhm.
You indicated to Mr. McCubbin that you felt 32 Arden was your best comp. Is that because of the suite size? Or number of suites, sorry?
Partially. I don't know if it would be the best comparison for the cap rate evidence. This is just to show this cap rate evidence is to show the accuracy of our model. But yeah, part of the reason I did choose that comparison would be the number of suites breakdown.
Would location have an impact on the cap rate?
Yes, the location would have a impact on the cap rate.
So 32 Arden is a suburban street in St. Vital. And we're looking at Broadway. Would you consider looking at other more downtown located? And I know they're just examples, not meant to be comparisons, but would that be more indicative of a cap rate for downtown versus a remodeled suburban apartment?
Yeah, I think that was a mistake on my end. Maybe if we're looking more at something like 241 Yonge, I know that Yonge Street is on several other of these properties on the docket, so that might be more appropriate.
Okay, I have no additional questions. Thank you very much. Mr. McCubbin.
Hey, thanks, Madam
Mr.
Chair.
McCubbin, I do note that you also have your Altus cap rate study. Could you please touch on that study also?
Yeah.
Okay, so I do need at least a summary of your cap rate study.
Yes, Madam Chair, I will.
Thank you.
So 634 Broadway, file number 24-2543. Can go to the second page, please. The 2025 realty assessment is $1,744,000. The requested 2025 assessment is $1,449,000. We're just going right to sort of on page 6, Madam Chair. You can see its location on Broadway. photographs. And you can see the actual property building. Looks like a pretty solid building. The subject property is located on the south side of Portage Avenue, as you've heard, between Langside Street to the east and Spence to the west, in the West Broadway area of Winnipeg. The property consists of one 3-story apartment building built in 1911, presently being used as a multiple family residential building. The unit size is the site size, sorry, is 6536 square feet, and it's Zone C. Zone C. It's commercially zoned. 21 units are contained within the property, all of them being 2-bedroom units. Doesn't have a suite mix, Madam Chair, it just has a straight 2-bedroom. Sometimes it's more desirable to have sort of a mixture of suites so you can attract a wider audience, I guess. Sorry. On page 13, Madam Chair, for the purposes of this report, we're disputing the assessor's market gross rents of $235,013. We're applying a potential market gross rent of $225,763 based on the actual stabilized income of the subject property. We're applying a vacancy allowance of 7.5%, so it's higher than the city's. There's obviously some vacancy issues there. We're applying an expense allowance of $120,975, or 57.2% of effective gross income, based on the actual stabilized expenses of the subject property. So, with respect to capitalization rate, Madam Chair, for the purposes of this report, we're disputing the assessor's capitalization rate of 5.3%. Also using a capitalization rate of 6.25%, based on a capitalization rate study shown in the appendix, Alta's 2025 cap rate study for apartments. Typical capitalization rates for good quality properties and good locations would be as follows. So we have, Madam Chair, the effective year built of the properties, and like the properties and the applicable cap rate 2025, good location according to Altus. So so the property is, if you look, property is 2011, right? Sorry, 1911. So that's the oldest set there. So you're looking at anywhere from 6.1 to 6.6% according to our studies. And we've done capitalization rate study, which is included in the in our appendix. We can draw on that if we have to, but the number of properties there that sold within the reference period, Madam Chair, and we calculated the capitalization rates in those properties using their actual incomes and expenses in most cases. And this is the band, this is the stratification of the cap rates as we see it. However, Altus will also consider site-specific adjustment based on the following factors. So it's age, of course, it's older, type of construction, masonry, that's a plus. Building amenities, none. So it has no building amenities. Generally, well, not this vintage, but generally apartment blocks, you know, they're more desirable if they have other amenities like public space or pool or condition. So average below, I think condition is good on this property. No parking, suite makes 2 bedrooms. So there's no real suite mix in here. It's all 21. It's all 2 bedrooms. So that's a negative, like I've said. So we're using a cap rate of 6.25 and applying it to the inputs that I talked about earlier. So if we go to page 15 of my presentation, please. The resulting market value as of April 1st, 2023 is therefore $1,449,000 rounded. And you can see the valuation on the following page, page 16. You can see on the bottom line the actual value and the capitalization rate applied, and the actual net operating income used. On page 17, Madam Chair, is quite much there in terms of expenses, obviously, because everything is all fairly new. So anyway. So finally, Madam Chair, on turning your attention to page 18 of my presentation, we respectfully request the Board of Division to reduce the 2025 realty assessment for the property located at 634 Broadway from $1,744,000 to $1,449,000. Just going to go through the addendum here. Sort of interesting to see it in the list of sales on page 22 in the appendix. In 2012, it was sold for $1,450. 2010, previously it sold for $2,100. I can't speak to those sales. Reviewed them. And that's my presentation. Questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCubbin. As part of Altus's evidence, Altus also submitted a separate apartment cap rate study.
Correct.
Could you just briefly highlight the key points for us in that study, please?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Bear with me, please. Didn't jump it in my here. We're just. Sorry, Madam Chair, I'll be right there.
No, yeah, that's okay.
Okay, so if I could turn your attention to the Altus 2025 cap rate study for apartments. So just to, on page 2, it's essentially describing the direct capitalization method that we use, and which is gathered from sales of actual properties, and that's the way it's calculated. So the 2025 assessor capitalization rate samples. So according to City of Winnipeg's valuation of income producing properties, 2025 generals. Sorry, on page 6, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you.
2025 general assessment document capitalization rates for apartments range from 3.5 to 7.95%, with most being between 4.75 and 5.45%. The market reports down below show the following table summarize the capitalization rates contained in the market reports. And generally, Madam Chair, these are for investment grade properties. So they're in good locations and they're well taken care of, and they have a good suite mix and stuff, things like that. So Collier's low rise apartment, 20. Let's go right to the Q1 2023 So they're saying Colliers for low rise, it's 5% to 6%. Okay. And that's for premium properties. CBRE low rise, 4.5% to 5.25%. CBRE, we're not going to go with low rise B, but yeah, we can go with low rise B. It's a little higher on the low end of the capitalization rate, so it's at 5 versus 4.5 for the low rise A. So I would categorize this as the low rise B, probably somewhere. And Cushman low rise, 5 to 5.75%. Colliers, well, we don't need to look at the remainder. So you can see, Madam Chair, cap rates are higher than what the city is reporting in their reports. The city's 4.75, 5.45, with most being, sorry, between the 80th and 20% off, 4.75 and 5.45. So that's it for the reported capitalization rates, Madam Chair. We didn't calculate those. Those are all reported and supposedly investment grade properties. Just general, touching on the increased cost of borrowing since the last cycle on page 7. Borrowing costs are a key part of the mathematics of the capitalization rate. This is seen most clearly in the band of investment or mortgage equity. That's the other way to calculate capitalization rates, which takes both the debt and equity components into account. Typically, the debt constitutes the majority, 75%. So that's traditional of the transaction, and therefore the cost of money is a key component in the capitalization rate, so 75% asset. However, the investor equity and shows below the way it's calculated. I don't think I need to go through that, Madam Chair. The cost of borrowing went up, so
Yeah, if you could just, that's fine, if you don't need to dwell too much on that.
mortgage rates, government Canada bonds, I'm not going to look at that. National average cap rates, not really applicable. There's, maybe it's applicable, but and there are factors affecting capitalization rates as we put out on page 10, Madam Chair. So, and vacancy rates, you can see page 10, which is key when you're calculating the capitalization rate. You have to consider what vacancy you're going to use. So this is our capitalization rate sales, Madam Chair, on page 12. So this is the ones we calculated for the 2025 assessments with reference to the date of April 1st, 2023. Altus Group has evaluated the following sales in order to determine the capitalization rate. Capitalization rate deviations can be found in Appendix D. So we have the first one, Madam Chair, 345 Talbot Street. You can see the roll number there. Sale price is $2,195,000 and it's 24 suites. Price per suite is 2.5 stories and it's built in 1970. And we calculated a capitalization rate of 6.48%, built in 1970. Asking price was $2,750,000. The second one, Madam Chair, 677 Maryland Street, sold for $2,176,000, 32 suites, 3.5 stories, and whoa, this is it was built in 1913, and then it was brought to an effective year of 1972. 7.11% is the capitalization rate that we calculate from that sale, Madam Chair. And consistent decline in sale price, sold 2.6 mil in 2014 and 2.4 in 2020. So it's declined in value from the sale price standpoint, anyway, from 2014 to 2020. And 100 Maryland Street, I'm sure. Reference when it's sold. And July of 2022, $2,050,000, 11 suites. 3.5 stories. Year built. It's a brand new one, 2017. And cap rate of 5. So this is a brand new building, Madam Chair. 11 Maryland. Essentially brand new, and it's a drive cap rate's calculated at 5.44%. So on 150 Hendon, we have a sale price in 2021 of $6,858,500 for 59 suites, 3 stories, 1972 built, office cap rate 5.42%. So it's 5.42%, and 2390 with Phillips. There's been some consternation about this capitalization rate, how to calculate it. I think we finally got it right, or at least so that we can that the city would accept, I think. So this is, and it's sale took place in 19,400,000. 90 suite building, 2015, 4 stories height. It's brand new, essentially new. 5.59% cap rate. Asking price was $20,440,000. And it's sold for $19,400,000. So $1 million less, or 5% less than the asking. So on page 13, Madam Chair, you'll see the calculation of the income summary. Property, $2,195,000, rounded. See capitalization applied, 6.45%. See the applicable net operating income. And on page 14, there's the repair and maintenance information. And because it's newer, I guess, it's not very much. Why is that? What did I just pick back up here? Oh. Okay, sorry. I'm going through the cap. I got lost there. So this is the calculation.
Okay.
Cap rate, Madam Chair, the calculation of cap rate.
Yeah, that's okay.
All the supporting documentation is in the appendix, Madam Chair, with respect to the calculation of the cap rate. So that's where we got our cap rates from. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. McCubbin, this, the cap rate study that you've just presented, it will apply to the whole of the docket?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, just making sure of that. Okay, Mr. Mackenzie, or Mr. Omachinsky, sorry, do you have questions for Mr. McCubbin on his?
I have no questions. I do have a rebuttal for the cap rate sales analysis.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Purvis, questions for Mr. McCubbin?
I don't think, I'm sorry, I don't have any questions, no.
Thank you. Ms. Del Oro, questions?
I do have a question. The value you're seeking is $676 less than the actual sale price 13 years later, correct?
Seems that way. Yes, Madam Chair.
And you haven't provided any internal photos with your presentation. Can you speak to any of the renovations that were carried out in, I think, 2013 and 2014 as per the permits taken out?
Yeah, without delving into the file, which I can do, and I don't want to put in any new information here really, so I'll work off of the assessor's brief. And Sorry, can you please repeat the question?
Yeah, I just wanted to know if you knew how many suites, if all the suites were in the similar condition as per the photos, or if only some of the suites or
Well, it
portion of
seems like
them.
it's, Madam Chair, it seems like a substantial amount of money was spent on this building, you know, previous to the reference date. And you look, if I look at the assessor's evidence, you can see, like, you look at the building on the outside and, you know, it's a stone building. On page 9, starting on page 9 of the assessor's briefs, you can see it's essentially, you know, got new flooring, new painting, new covers, looks like, new sink, large sink. And yeah, and the bathrooms are redone, especially in this suite, composite flooring. Yeah, I have no doubt that probably the majority of suites are fixed up in this building, sure. But we're going generally on the, with respect to the potential income, we're using the reported, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Mr. McCubbin, we heard that there was significant renovations in 2014. Was in the suite reconfiguration, did it go from 1-bedroom suites to 2-bedroom suites? Like, what was the suite configuration prior to the renovation?
Good question. I don't have the field sheets, but maybe Mr. Olachinsky would be best able to answer that, Madam Chair.
Mr. Wachinsky, are you aware? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. Sorry, I don't have that information in my brief. I'm looking to see if I can find anything out. If you wanted to continue with questions, I can see
Yeah,
if I can get back
sure.
to you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And Mr. McCubbin, I see from your table that you did choose the cap rate, well, within the range of the pre-1946. And you, despite the significant renovations, you didn't give it the lowest of the cap rates. You picked somewhere in that range. And I think you indicated in your table on page 14, the negatives were what, no parking and the lack of suite mix?
Well, yeah, the lack of suite mix would be one, because then, you know, when you're looking at the open market, Madam Chair, you have a lot more to bite from, like, well, you're looking for someone with 1 bedroom. You know, not everyone wants a 2 bedroom. So that's, I would consider that a negative, you know, suite mix is
Okay.
good. With respect to other issues, oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong brief here. I'm in the assessor's brief. Okay, so getting back to the capitalization rate, so the suite mix, yeah, it's not much. It's no suite mix, and the negatives are, you know, the age is a big negative for sure. It doesn't matter if you dress it up. Still, you're still dealing with the foundation, 1911 foundation, settling and whatnot, and a number of issues at an older building. I think this building is probably average condition, it's
Okay.
not below average.
I was gonna ask about that because you say
Yeah.
average to below average, so I
Yeah,
do.
no, I think no, I think this would be average.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Parking, yeah.
And Mr. Wachinsky, did you find out the answer to that question?
Partially. So I'm looking at just the permit plans here, and I'm seeing that I think some of the suites were originally 1 bedroom, and they modified that to make some of them 2 bedroom.
Okay.
But I don't know the suite breakdown previous to the renovations.
Yeah. That's fine, thank you. I have no additional questions, Mr. McCubbin. And before we move on to Mr. Omachinsky's rebuttal, Mr. McCubbin, do you have rebuttal evidence?
No, I don't, ma'am. Chair.
Okay, thank you. And again, can I just confirm no rebuttal evidence for the entire docket?
That's correct, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Omachinsky, then you have rebuttal evidence.
Yes, and I would like, it's likely that the panel members and
Okay.
we've seen it before, so I'll briefly go over it, and I would just ask that it be carried over
Okay,
to the rest of the
we
properties.
do need to get a copy of it sent to us first.
Okay, okay,
So if you can just give us a moment.
yeah, for sure.
It has
Madam
been
Chair, will I
shared.
be emailed a copy of it?
Yeah, I've sent an email with the.
Maybe you sent it. I'm not sure. I haven't looked there. Yes,
panel-
thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Members, we do have it. Do you guys have it? Ms. Del Oro, Mr. Purvis? Might have to refresh your,
I'm just refreshing, just 1 second here.
I have it. Thank you.
thank you. Mr. McCubbin, let us know when you have it.
I do have it now, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And Mr. Purvis? Yes, okay, go ahead, Mr. Omachinsky.
Okay, thank you. So the City of Winnipeg rebuttal to Altus 2025 cap rate sales analysis. It's just showing I know that there's a difference. I know 738 St. Mary's Road is not on their analysis anymore. I think it's 150 Hendon Road, but for the other 4 properties, this does apply. So we're just looking at from sales 1 to 3. There's one year of income and expense information is insufficient to calculate a stabilized net operating income. And for sale 4, so for 100 Maryland, no actual income and expenses are involved in the calculation of the net operating income. And for sale 5, the potential gross income utilized by Altus is not based on historically reported information, as we believe that's incorrectly stabilized. So the following pages are just showing the how there's only 1 year for 345 Talbot, and we're looking for more for 3 years if we're going to be using it for capitalization rate evidence, just to iron out any inconsistencies. And then if we go to page 9, you can see that there's no actual data for 100 Maryland. And then on 10, this is 2390 McPhillips. So, the Altus calculation average rent levels are inconsistent with the rents reported in the prior year. And on the following page 11 is the City of Winnipeg stabilization for 2390 McPhillips Street, just showing that we come to a capitalization rate of 4.71%. And that would be my rebuttal evidence. I'm open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Omachinsky. Mr. McCubbin, questions on the rebuttal?
Yes, Madam Chair. Thank you. So you said that we're using for the sales mimics Altuses, right? Talbot, Maryland, and both Marylands and McPhillips, right?
Sorry, could you repeat that question?
Sorry, there are 4 sales there are 4 sales here that that Altus is using. Is that correct? Like on page 1. I'm looking at page 1.
Yes, yeah, the 4 sale. Yeah, there is 4 sales.
With the exception of which sale again? Sorry.
I believe it's 738 St. Mary's Road.
Okay. So with respect to 345 Talbot, what is the issue here again, please?
So we're looking for, it's 1 year of income and expense information. We don't believe that's sufficient to calculate a stabilized net operating income for the cap rate evidence.
Okay, I see what, yeah, okay. Madam Chair, can I give a verbal rebuttal or a summation to his rebuttal? Is that appropriate?
Pardon me?
Is it appropriate to give a verbal with respect to his rebuttal? My comments with respect to his rebuttal before
I don't like to make a broad statement first. What are you asking?
Yes, just some broad statements. I'm not getting into I'm not getting into
sure.
Just broad statements, just to sort of discount some of the stuff that Mr. Olchinski has said.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
So I'll do that after the questioning, I guess, right? Obviously, yeah, sorry. So that's the one. So that one there is just 1 year, you said, right? 345 total, but 1 year of expense, 1 year of income, right? Not good enough. 1 year income. 345 total year words. Okay. The second one is 677 Maryland. So what is the problem with this one? Sorry. Hello.
Hello?
Oh, sorry. One, I'm questioning you on your rebuttal
Yes.
with respect to 677 Maryland.
Yes, it's the same as the previous property you
So
mentioned.
it's 1 year statement then, right?
Yeah.
And okay, we don't need to worry about Mary's 1100 Maryland. Sorry.
100 Maryland Street.
Yeah, what is the problem with what is the issue with that one? Sorry.
There was no actuals used for the data for stabilizing to find the cap rate or for the cap rate. We don't see any actual data.
Okay, fair enough. We can look at that. Result. 2390 McPhillips, sorry.
The Altus calculation rent levels are inconsistent with the rents reported in the prior year.
In what way? In what way is it inconsistent?
One moment. I'm assuming that they would not be the same as reported.
Were they higher or lower? And might have there been a reason for it. Were the rents depressed on this property before? Like they weren't getting actual marked rents or something like that?
To my knowledge, I do not know. I don't have that information.
Okay. Right. Okay, I think I spent enough time. Those are all the questions. Okay. So if I go to page 11 of your rebuttal evidence for cap rate, like 2390 McPhillips.
Yep,
So the city has done this study, is that correct?
the city has done the study, is that what you said?
Yeah, it looks like it, right? 2017,
Yeah,
2018.
this would be work. Yeah,
Pardon
this would be work completed by
by the assessment
sorry,
and taxation department.
correct.
Okay, and you're getting a resultant cap rate after stabilization of 4.71%, right?
Correct.
Okay. Do you have any supporting documentation that you can present to us so that we can sort of make sure these numbers are borne out and stabilized correctly?
I do not have any
You don't.
support.
So we're to take your word for it then, right? So, but you do. Oh, anyway, sorry. Okay, so you don't have any. Okay, those are all questions I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Del Oro, questions on the rebuttal?
No, I don't have any questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Purvis?
I'm okay, thank you.
Okay, and nor do I. So, Mr. Omachinsky, would you like to do summation?
No summation needed, thank you.
Mr. McCubbin?
Madam Chair, would you like me to speak to the cap rate now in general?
Yes, you can go ahead and do a summary of.
Okay, thanks.
what
And this
you
will apply,
think.
of course, to the rest of the properties on the docket, of course. So just some comments, really, Madam Chair, with respect to the assessor's comments with 345 Talbot and 677 Talbot. His rationale for not that it shouldn't be included or looked at. He didn't have a problem with the actual capitalization rate in itself, but he did have a problem that we just used 1 year of stabilization, so, or 1 year income. So we essentially used what we got. So, and that's generally what you do. We didn't make it up, and we just have 1 year of statements from the owner for that purpose. So, not trying to hide anything there. And the same goes for 677 Maryland. So again, not necessarily, yeah, one year of 1 year of income statements, but at least we got some income statements. So 100 Maryland, general. Chair, with respect to 2390 Phillips Street, that property was below the rents were below market, and then it was purchased, and then it got booted up. So it's not. You have to make some adjustments. You have to make some adjustments for the market. You have to make sense out of it, I guess. So you adjust it in a reasonable way. And lastly, Madam Chair, I'll just make a blanket statement with respect to page 11, where the assessment department calculated the capitalization rate for that same property I was just speaking about, 2390 McPhillips. They came up with a cap rate of 4.71. There's no supporting documentation, so I can't really question the assessor on the stabilization, because I don't know whether the numbers for 2017 to 2019, whether I agree with those or not. So I'll ask you to discount, like, just, yeah, give it low weight. If you think. Thanks, Madam Chair. That's it.
Okay, that will conclude item number 1. That item took a little bit longer because we went in detail into the cap rate study and into the rebuttal evidence, which we will not need to do going forward unless you have something you would like to raise that you didn't raise on item number 1. We'll just assume that the questions related to cap rate study and rebuttal will carry forward through the rest of the docket. Okay?
Agreed.
All right. So let's move on then to item number 2.
Madam Chair, is it okay if I can take a 5-minute or 10-minute break, please? And then we can run through. Is it okay if I can take a break?
All right, we'll recess for 5 minutes. Let's be back at 10:07, please. Okay, I'd like to call our meeting back to order. We're now dealing with item number 2 on our agenda. This is file number 24-2091 213 Lakeside Street. Mr. Assessor, when you're ready, please.
Okay, thank you. This is file number 24-2091, roll number 120908900500. The address is 213 Langside Street. Roll year 2025, reference date April 1st, 2023. The assessed value is $1,960,000. Classification 20, liability T. There is one building with 3 stories. The actual year built is 1927, with the effective year being 1970. There is 18 suites and 12 outdoor parking spots. I will be making a verbal recommendation so I'm recommending to bump the cap to 5.25% and using the model NOI of 99,946 for the assessed value of 1,904,000.
Okay, let me just repeat that. You're recommending, making a verbal recommendation to increase the cap rate to 5.25?
Correct, from 5.1.
Using the city's model NOI, your new value is 1,904,000.
Correct.
Okay, before we go on, Mr. McCubbin, do you accept the recommendation?
Yes, I do, Madam Chair. Sorry, Chair. No, I'd like to go ahead, Madam Chair.
You would like to go ahead?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Omachinsky, can you please review your brief then?
Okay, thank you. So we'll go to page 3 for the income value summary. So just for the number of units, we have 15 one-bedroom units and 3 two-bedroom units for a total of 18 units. The average monthly rent per unit being $938.59. The gross potential rent is $202,735. Vacancy rate is 3.6%. The effective gross income is $195,437. Expense rate being 48.86%. The net operating income being $99,946. And then the market value per suite being $108,888.89. On page 4 for the rent comparables, we have an effective year built ranging from 1925 to 1989, a total number of units ranging from 12 to 49, a number of bachelor 0 to 15, one bedroom 9 to 24, and two bedroom 0 to 10. The average monthly rent per unit ranges from $884 to $1,115. Page 5 and 6 are the capitalization rate evidence and information, followed by the municipal act. And on 8, we have an aerial photo of the property, including a street photo, and then some interior photos of the suite. This will be taken off the management company's website. That goes until page 12, and then there is a suite layout for on page 13, as well as a permit in 2010 for an interior refresh for a 3-story 18-unit apartment block. This would be for $380,000. And then there is some information about the listing on 15, as well as the property income and expense questionnaire from 16 to 17. And that would be my presentation. I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Omachinsky. Mr. McCubbin, questions for the assessor?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Olchinski, if I can turn your attention to page 1 of your presentation, please. So I'll ask you the same questions with respect to calculation of effective years. So it's, I imagine it would be the same.
Correct.
Sort of like not mathematically calculated. On page 3 of your presentation, so the gross potential rent was modeled.
Yes, the gross potential rent. That's the model.
So it would, okay, so it was modeled. It wasn't specifically site specific. The vacancy rates, it's okay. And the expense ratio, how did you come up with the, again, that's a model driven expense ratio?
Correct.
Okay. And a model driven cap rate.
It's for the recommendation, the model, the cap rate was bumped to 5.25%.
So you bumped it up like 15 basis points.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. No questions I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Purvis, questions for the assessor?
Yeah, just regarding that effective year built, it's a big jump. Is that just based on the that building permit that we have, or had it already been increased prior to? I'm just looking at
To my knowledge, I believe it would have been prior, just due to the amount that it was increased. This would have been this permit may have increased it slightly more, but to my knowledge, it wouldn't warrant the permit that I have included in the brief wouldn't warrant the 43 years increase in effective age.
I say it seems like a pretty big jump from a 1927 building to 1970. It's a lot of substantial renovations. And then, sorry, I had one more question. Just going to see if I can find it. I might. The sale history, when you're looking at the 2010 sale, that's the current owner that purchased it in 2010. Like that's still the same owner.
To my knowledge, yes.
Yeah. Okay. And that was an arm's length transaction from 2009 to 2010.
I don't have that information in front of me, but I can look that up.
Okay, that's not too important. I'm just curious. Okay, that's my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Purvis. Ms. Del Oro?
I don't have any questions, thank you.
And I don't have any questions either. I was interested in that bump on effective age also, so thank you for that.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes,
I have a redirect from Mr. Purvis's question of the assessor, and I hope I can.
go ahead, Mr. McCubbin.
Thank you. Jeez. Almost makes me thought. Oh, with respect to the permit value that was taken out on this property, sorry, the permit that was taken out of this property, your question in regards to that, and why the age was calculated the way it was, seems to be high. Is there and you insinuated or you said that there may have been all the permits. Do you know for sure? Can you check to see if there were substantial permits taken out other than that
Yeah, so in my just research on the property, I can double check here, but that would be the largest permit that we have electronically.
what would the other permits entail?
Sorry?
What would the other permits entail? Like what sort of work is and the amount, please? The type of work
So
and the amount.
the only permit that I have from the city that is like electronically available is the one in end of 2010 for the
The one
interior.
that is in the brief then, eh? Sorry?
Sorry?
The one that's in the brief?
Yes, the one that's
Yeah?
on the brief.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So you don't have any other evidence with respect to permits, that would shift shift the effective age that much.
Correct, yes. So maybe prior to 2000, I'm unaware.
That's all my redirect.
Mr. Purvis, do you have any follow-up questions leading from Mr. McCubbin's question?
I guess just a broad question, just in general, and I maybe should have asked this far sooner in the cycle, not just today. How far back to when you guys pull building permits, you're only able to look at the electronic records?
I know that you're likely able to get like field forms from prior to that, but just
Sure. But when you're looking it up on the system, you're not digging
when
it.
I'm looking up in the system, the farthest that I've seen go back is 2000.
2000? Okay, that was my question. Is how far back does the electronic go? And then
Yeah,
any renovations before then, we're not assuming that they didn't do it without permits. It's just that the permit's a piece of paper in the archives somewhere.
correct.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's all.
And Ms.
Just
Del
to
Oro?
redirect again, Madam Chair, sorry.
Mr. McCubbin,
Sorry.
we're trying to get through our process.
No, fair enough.
Now
No,
you have to
okay,
wait
go ahead.
until the panel's done. Ms. Del Oro, do you have questions arising from the follow-up questions?
I do not, thank you.
Okay, and neither do I. Last one, Mr. McCubbin.
Okay, thanks, Madam Chair. Do you have, you do have historical records for this property, don't you? Electronic, like that is in an electronic format.
Yeah, I do have historical records. That's where the
So you
permit
can
was.
tell, if you look at the field forms, you can see behind the field forms which permits were recorded there that are old and are not like electronic permits, correct?
So Yeah, I would have to order the field forms for the property to see what like to see
Isn't the field for it? Yeah, okay. Are the field forms electronic?
They
They're
are they would
scanned?
have I believe they are sent to you electronically, but you have to put a you have to order them in to my knowledge.
Or no? Okay,
Yeah.
those are all good. Sorry, Madam Chair, I wouldn't be looking.
Mr. Purvis, follow-up question? No,
No, I'm satisfied now. Thank you. Just
thank you, Ms. Del Oro.
And I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you, and I have no questions, so on to your evidence, Mr. McCubbin.
Thanks, Madam Chair. So we're dealing with three. We're dealing with 213 Langside. File number 24-2091. The current assessment is 1,960,000. We're requesting an assessed value of 1,804,000. On page 6, you can see the property's location. Page 7, you can see a facade of the building. Page 8 describes the property. Okay. With respect to the income approach, Madam Chair, on page 13, we're applying an effective gross income of 198,369 based on the actual stabilized income of the property. We're applying an expense allowance of $90,111 or 45.4% of effective gross income based on the actual stabilized expenses of the property. On page 14, for purposes of this report, we're disputing the assessor's cap rate of 5.1%. We're using a cap rate of 6%. And I'm not going to go through the cap rate band there. But with respect to this specific property, the age is a huge factor. No amenities is not a factor. No parking could be a factor. And the suite mix is not that. Oh, so it does have a suite mix. But anyway, we think an appropriate cap rate for this property is 6%, Madam Chair. And so on page 13, we are applying an effective gross income of $198,369 based on the actual stabilized income of the subject property. We're applying an expense allowance of. I'm going through that again. Sorry, Madam Chair. Looking around here. Okay. Turn to page 15, Madam Chair. Market value, the resulting market value as of April 1st, 2023 is therefore 1,804,000 rounded with those inputs that I just discussed. And you can see the form on page 17, you can see the actual value. Page 16. You can see how the value is calculated using what I just discussed. And on page 17, you have the repair and maintenance that we're able to gather. And in summary, we respectfully request the Board of Revision to reduce the 2025 realty assessment for the property located at 2013 Langside from $1,960,000 to $1,804,000. And that's my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. McCubbin. Mr. Omachinsky, questions for the applicant?
I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Del Oro, questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Purvis?
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. And my question relates to your cap rate, Mr. McCubbin. I'm looking at your tables on page 14.
Yes.
It appears you're not accepting of, well, I can't really tell actually. In your first table, it shows a 1970 to 1989 cap rate of 5.5 to 6.25. So you would say your cap rate falls within that? You are accepting of the 1970 effective age?
Well, I guess when you look at that band there, yes, it seems as though we are accepting that, but nevertheless, have concerns with how that 1970 was calculated, Madam Chair.
Okay. All right. I have no additional questions. Thank you. And I note, Mr. Omachinsky, that your rebuttal evidence will carry through to this property also.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you care for summation, Mr. Omachinsky?
No summation needed.
Thank you. Mr. McCubbin?
None needed, Madam Chair, thanks.
Thank you. That concludes item number 2. Let's move to item number 3, please. This is file number 24-3362, 75 Yonge Street. Mr. Omachinsky.
Thank you. This is file number 24-3362, roll number 1209103500, address 75 Yonge Street, roll year 2025, reference date April 1st, 2023, assessed value $2,208,000, classification 20, liability T. There's one building with 2 stories. The actual and effective year built, the actual year built is 1949 and the effective year built is 1969. There's 21 suites with 9 outdoor parking spots. I will also be making a verbal recommendation similar to the last property of increasing the cap from 5.15% to 5.25%, but using everything else as model. So the model NOI of 113,693 to a new assessed value of 2,166,000 rounded.
Okay, I'll just repeat that before we carry on. You're making a verbal recommendation to increase the cap rate to 5.25% based on the city's modeled NOI. This results in a new value of $2,166,000 rounded. That would be correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Mr. McCubbin, question to you. Do you accept the recommendation?
No, we do not accept the recommendation, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. McCubbin. Mr. Omachinsky, you can carry forward with your presentation, please.
Okay, thank you. So we'll go to page 3 for the income value summary, number of units. We have 10 bachelor units, 10 one-bedroom, and 1 two-bedroom for a total of 21 units. The average monthly rent per unit is $913.55. Gross potential rent is $230,215. The vacancy rate is 3.6%. The effective gross income being $221,927. The expense rate is 48.77%. Net operating income $113,693, and with a market value per suite being $105,142.86. Following page, page 4, the effective year built for these comparables range from 1950 to 1972. The total number of units range from 12 to 27. Number of bachelor 0 to 6, 1 bedroom 9 to 18, and 2 bedroom 0 to 6. The average monthly rent per unit for the comparables range from $925 to $1,115. Pages 5 and 6 is the capitalization information and evidence, followed by the Municipal Assessment Act. And on 8, we have an aerial photo of where the subject property resides, as well as a street photo. And then on 9, we have some interior photos of 75 Yonge Street, followed by the income and expense questionnaire and multifamily questionnaire on 11 and 12. And that would be my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Omachinsky. Mr. McCubbin, questions?
Thanks, Madam Chair. All my questions, can all my questions please apply to this property also from the previous properties with respect to capitalization rate, potential gross income and expenses, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Del Oro, questions for the assessor?
I have no questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Purvis?
I also have no questions. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I have no questions also. Thank you, Mr. Omachinsky. Mr. McCubbin?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Okay, 75 Yonge Street, file number 24-3362. Current assessed value is $2,208,000. We're seeking a reduction to $2,034,000. You've already seen the subject property and description of it, so I'm not gonna go through that. On respect to the income valuation on page 12, Madam Chair. We're disputing the assessors market gross rent of 230,000 to 15. We're applying a potential market gross of 239,969, again based on actual stabilized income of the subject property. We're applying the same vacancy allowance as C, 3.6%. Expense allowance, we're disputing assessors expense allowance of $108 to $134. And we're applying an expense allowance of $160, $194 based on the actual stabilized expenses of the subject property. And on page 12, on page 13, with respect to capitalization rate, we're disputing the assessed cap rate of 5.15. We're using a rate of 5.75. See the rate we're using there. And in regards to what I've discussed with respect to potential gross income and the application of a cap rate, the resulting market values of April the 1st, 2023 is $2,034 $2,034,000 rounded. On the page 15, you can see the income summary, Madam Chair. Page 16, the repair and maintenance. And page 17, our summary. We're respectfully ask the board to reduce the 2025 realty assessment for subject property located at 75 Gallen Street from $2,208,000 to $2,034,000. And that's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCubbin. Mr. Omachinsky, questions for the applicant?
I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Purvis, questions?
I don't have any questions, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Del Oro?
No, I don't have any questions either. Thank you.
Mr. McCubbin, I'm on your page 13.
Yep, sorry.
And looking at your cap rate tables, it would appear that you've given this property the low end of the cap for the age range that it's falling within.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Yes,
the table below is empty. There's no comments one way or the other. So what does that tell me? Does it tell me that there's no factors that influence that cap rate one way or the other, or is it just?
No, it's just been omitted, Madam Chair. Sorry. The factors that affect this capitalization that would affect this. Sorry, the factors that will affect a capitalization rate to be used for the property, Madam Chair, would be the age, of course. Older.
Yeah.
Type of construction, somewhat with respect to the age foundation, etc. There's no heritage status, so that doesn't matter. Condition is good, like it's average for its age. Parking is a problem. Number of streets, I'm not going to touch on that. Location and external factors. You can tell the location, Madam Chair. This is off Balmoral and yeah, sorry.
No, I appreciate the factors, and I always like to see the different factors that come into play. So the sentence above says we'll also consider site specific adjustments. So there's no site specific adjustments, everything's sort of average and okay with this property?
Yes, I would say so. I would say everything is average for it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, location maybe is a little bit less desirable. A lot of properties. But yes, I'm sure.
Okay, and I just want to check something else here. There's 9 parking for 21 suites. That would be considered okay?
That would be considered like it all depends on your clients, or
Right. Yeah.
in this area a lot of people don't have parking and don't have access to a car, so
Okay.
it's probably not necessary.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that, Mr. McCubbin. Mr. Omachinsky, I note that your rebuttal evidence will continue for this property also. Okay,
Yes,
and would you care for summation?
I don't need summation, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCubbin.
No, thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you. That will conclude item number 3. Okay, item number 4 on our agenda. This is file number 24-3364, 85 Yonge Street. Mr. Omachinsky.
Yeah, thank you. This is file number 24-3364, roll number 1209103800. Address is 85 Yonge Street, roll year 2025, reference date April 1st, 2023. Assessed value is $2,204,000, classification 20, liability T. There's one building with 2 stories. The actual year built is 1949 with the effective year being 1969. There's 21 seats and 8 outdoor parking spots. I do have another verbal recommendation for this property. And it would just be the same as the previous 2, which would be bumping the cap rate to 5.25% using the model NOI. So it would be the model NOI of $113,524, which would give us the assessed value I'll be recommending is $2,162,000.
Okay, let me just repeat. We're making a verbal rec to increase the cap rate to 5.25% based on the city's model NOI. That results in a new value of $2,162,000.
Correct, and that would be rounded down.
Yes, thank you. Mr. McCubbin, do you accept the verbal rec?
No, we do not, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Omachinsky.
Thank you. So we will go to page 3 for the value income summary, just the number of unit breakdown, 10 bachelor, 10 1-bedroom and 1 2-bedroom for a total of 21 units. The average monthly rent per unit being $912.19. Gross potential rent $229,872. Vacancy rate 3.6%. Effective gross income $221,597. Expense rate 48.77%. Net operating income being $113,524. Market value per suite sitting at $104,952.38. The rent comparables, this would be similar to the last effective year built, ranging from 1950 to 1989. Total number of units, 12 to 27. And then the average monthly rent per unit being, for these comparables, $925 to $1,115. Page 5 and 6 is the capitalization rate information evidence, followed by the Municipal Assessment Act excerpts. And on page 8, we have a sky photo of the property, as well as a street photo included, and some interior photos of 85 Yonge Street, just found on the management website, as well as a permit included for remove and repair the basement floor slab. This would date back to 2013. And the declared construction value for this permit is $59,900. And then additionally on page 11, we have the property income and expense questionnaire and the multifamily questionnaire on 12. And that would be my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Omachinsky. Mr. McCubbin, questions?
I have no questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Del Oro, questions?
I have no questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Purvis.
Is it fair to say this property it's next door to the previous property, 75 Yonge Street and 85 Yonge Street?
Yeah, it's right next over there.
They're essentially identical buildings. It looks like they're built the same year, same suite mix, same size.
To my knowledge, they're identical buildings or builds.
Okay. The only thing I'm seeing that would make a difference between the assessments is that there's one more parking spot with 85 versus 75. And I guess that's the big difference between the two.
Yeah.
Okay, those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have no questions either. Thank you, Mr. Omachinsky. Mr. McCubbin.
Thanks, Madam Chair. 85 Young Street, file number 24-3364. The current assessed value is $2,204,000. We're requesting an assessment of $1,645,000 for the 2025 roll year. I'm not going to go through the description of the property. I'll go straight to the income analysis, Madam Chair. So that's contained on page 12. We're disputing the assessor's market gross rent of $229,872. And we're applying a potential market gross rent of $223,195 based on the actual stabilized income of the subject property. We're applying the same vacancy rate as the city. For the purposes of this report, we're disputing the assessor's expense allowance of $108,073. And we're applying an expense allowance of $122,331 based on the actual stabilized expenses of the subject property. On page 13, we're disputing the assessor's cap rate of 5.15%. And we're using a cap rate of 5.75%. Same comments would go for this property as the other one there. Yeah, essentially the same. So with those inputs, the resulting market value as of April 1st, 2023 is therefore $165,000 rounded. And on page 15, Madam Chair, you can see the income summary. Page 16, you can see the repair and maintenance schedule. On page 17, we respect the summaries. We respectfully request the board revision to reduce the 2025 realty assessment for subject property at 220 Portage Avenue from $2,204,000 to $1,675,000. And let's see if I have anything in the. And that's my presentation. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. McCubbin. Mr. Omachinsky, questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Purvis, questions?
Yeah, I know that you're using the same cap rate, which in the I guess now Ryan, it's still called the Altus cap study, but now you're called Ryan. In
Yes.
your cap study, that's the low end of your range is 5.75% for that
correct.
age. So that would suggest that this is in that age range a pretty good building.
Yeah, I'd say it shows well. Yeah,
it's got the problems of being
in a location.
50 plus years old, but
yeah.
I'm just curious why we've heard that this is basically the twin building to 75 Yonge Street. Why is the NOI so much lower on this one? It's $20,000 lower. Have there been some expenses? It looks like the expense rate's higher. Have there been some expenses?
Yeah, I would suspect, and I'm sure, just bear with me for a second, please. So with respect to the expenses on property, that can be found on page 16 of my presentation. So when you go to the expenses, R&M, repair and maintenance, Madam Chair, 5 years average is 51,811. So that's the 5-year average. So we didn't go to average. We sort of like looked at the numbers and sort of like stabilized it at 37,245. That's 37,245, or 1774 per suite. Now, the expenses are higher, and I would suspect it's a matter of catching up to some extent. It doesn't look as though it's any. There are no reported capital expenditures, as far as I can see. So they're all expenses relating to the repair and maintenance, and we replaced stabilized amount of 37,245 on it.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's fine. Those are my only questions. I'm just trying to figure out there's quite a difference between
Yeah. I
The
forgot.
recommendations for two buildings that are otherwise the same.
Yeah. I mean, they're not two identical buildings, obviously. There's something going on in this building here that warrants that. Well, I can say, yeah. So it's a lack of maintenance, I would say. Um, just bear with me, please.
Like if we go back and look at the
Sorry.
if we look at the expenses from item 375 Young Street, they're also higher in 18, 19, and 2020, and they come
Right.
down. So it's not like I'm having a tough time seeing what the difference is between.
Yeah, well, that's and it's important. So let's just compare them. Just bear with me, this. I'll compare them side by side. I think we should take a moment to do this quickly. Okay, so that's 85, yeah, and the other one we're comparing to is 75, yeah. It's a sister building.
Yeah, they're owned by the same numbered company. The property
Yeah.
manager signing off on the expense reports. Same name, same one.
Yes, I'm just trying to figure out. Sorry, just trying to figure out. Okay, so I have 85 Young Street here. We stabilized at 37,245, or 1774. So 75, we also stabilized at 37,245. So very close, right? And if you look at the expenses now, if we go back to the perform, I guess, did for, we compare page 15 with page 15 on 75 Young with page 15 of 85 Young. And we can see, okay, to do a search. Oops. Sorry, bear with me, please. Let me go there. So just flipping back and forth, Madam Chair, the high items there that would make the difference that I can see is management fee is fine. It would be again 30. Oh, so I've noticed that the gas charge, Madam Chair, on 75 Young is substantially lower than the one for 85, so that's a big difference. That'll make a difference there. Um, and 48 for repairs and maintenance, 48, 478. It's pretty close too. Sorry, finally, I think utilities 2021 and 22. We stabilized it at 25,571. We stabilized the utilities at 25,571 for 75 Young, and for 85 Young, we stabilized it at 25,260. Water is 13,914, 485. Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a big difference in water for 75 also. Water is a lot less, so it tells me maybe there's a vacancy issue there with this property. Not using enough water. $215, $243, $244, $290, $290. Oh, yeah, there's a big difference in the potential market gross rents too, Madam Chair. That's why we're divergent of values here for the two. So yeah, there must be some vacancy issues with getting there. So potential market growth for stabilized for 75 is 223, 195, and for 85 it's the same 223. 290. So it's a big difference there. I don't know if that answers your questions.
We'll have to. Those are my questions. Like I said, I just found the gap pretty
Yeah, those are
surprisingly
the
large.
differences there. Yeah, and that's why there's divergent values here. I guess something wrong with the floor line. It's not performing as it should, I guess.
Thanks. That's all of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Purvis. Ms. Del Oro, questions for the applicant?
Yes, just following on that, your page 16 for 85 young and your page 16 for 75 young are identical. Is that?
That is correct. Yeah, that's the way they reported it. I don't know if they split, because they're managed, they could have split the R&M, just in two. I don't.
That's intentional. Those
They're
numbers
identical.
carry.
They're identical.
Okay.
They probably shouldn't be.
Right, the numbers should probably be changed there, right?
Yeah, they should be.
Stabilized.
But this is the way it was reported to us. So.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. Mr. McCubbin, I'm looking at your page 15. Line 30 for real estate taxes. What
Okay.
does on your note, on your remarks column at the very right-hand side, what does see calculations? Where can I see the calculations?
Oh, I don't have the calculations in my brief, Madam Chair, but it is calculated based on the mill rate
Okay,
for that specific year.
Okay.
Yeah. It would be, but it's a side calculation.
yeah, okay.
So, yeah.
That's not a problem. I just wondered if there was something different going on because of that remark.
Yeah, no, it's just it's a calculation somewhere else.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you. I have no other questions. Mr. Omachinsky, summation for this property?
No need for summation. Would I be able
Thank
to
you.
request just a very brief, like 3-minute recess?
Okay, let's just wait to finish up
Yeah.
this item and then for sure we can do that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. McCubbin, summation?
I have none, Madam Chair.
Okay, so we will have a short recess. Let's make it until 11 o'clock.
Okay.
We're halfway through our agenda, so 4 more properties to go, but I think the rest will go fairly quickly. Thank you. I'd like to call our meeting back to order. We're now resuming with item number 5 on our agenda. This is file number 24-3369, 100 Yonge Street. Mr. Omachinsky, when you are ready, please.
Thank you. This is file number 24-3369, rule number 1209096600. The address is 100 Yonge Street, roll year 2025, reference date April 1st, 2023. Assessed value is $1,503,000. Classification 20 liability T. There's one building with 2 stories. The actual year built is 1951, with the effective year built being 1970. There's 21 suites and 13 outdoor parking spots. I do have another verbal recommendation for this property. It will be maintaining the model NOI of the property at 678, and then bumping again the cap rate to 5.25% for a new assessed value of $1,461,000 rounded.
Thank you. I'll just repeat that. You're making a verbal recommendation to increase the cap rate to 5.25. Based on the model NOI, it results in a new value of $1,461,000.
Correct.
Mr. McCubbin, do you accept the recommendation?
No, we do not, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Omachinsky, you may continue with your presentation, please.
Thank you. So we'll go to page 3 here. For the number of unit breakdown, we have 8 bachelor units with 13 one-bedroom for a total of 21 units. The average monthly rent per unit is $677.49. The gross potential rent is $170,727. Vacancy rate is 3.6%. Effective gross income, $164,581. Expense rate is 53.41%. The net operating income is $76,678, with a market value per suite being $71,571.43. On the following page, I did a stabilization so the income and expenses. I did choose to take the average between 2021 and 2022 for the repair and maintenance, because the repair and maintenance for 2020, we were looking at, I think it was $3,587 per unit, where if we take the other 2 years, we're looking at $1,222 per unit. So that would give us the net operating income stabilized at $77,048. So I did decide to go with model and slightly bump the cap. But on the following page, page 5, we have the comparables with the effective year built ranging from 1919 to 1970. The total number of units ranging from 11 to 36, number of bachelor 0 to 21, number of one bedroom 7 to 22, number of two bedroom 0 to 8. The average monthly rent per unit ranging from $683 to $769. The next page is pages 6 and 7 are the capitalization rate information, followed by the evidence. And on 8, we have the Municipal Assessment Act excerpts. On 9, we have the aerial photo where the subject property resides, as well as a street photo. And then on 10, 11, and 12 are some interior photos I found. And on 13, we have just a permit for our AP program repairs to include installing new windows, entries, and suite doors into some size openings, installing styrofoam insulation and stucco.
Mr. Assessor, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm sorry. It says my Zoom meetings is not responding, but can you still see and hear me?
Your camera is frozen, but we can hear you.
Okay. Is it okay if I quickly restart the program?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just place this in a brief recess.
Okay, we'll just go into a brief recess while the assessor is working on his technical issues. Okay. I'd like to call our meeting back to order, and Mr. Omachinsky, you may continue with your presentation, please.
Thank you. Okay, I believe I was at the explanation of the permit here. So just to wrap it up, the declared construction value would be $484,000, and this dates back to December of 2005. And then as well on page 13 is the property income and expense questionnaire, as well as the multifamily questionnaire, and that would be my brief. I'm open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Omachinsky. Mr. McCubbin, questions for the assessor?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Just one quick question here. Mr. Omachinsky, can you please turn your attention to page? To page 4 of your presentation, please.
Yep, I'm here.
So is this a reconstruct, like the value on this page is $1,510,752, and The value on the preceding page was 1,503,000, so virtually identical, correct?
Correct, yes.
So you essentially just modeled this after, like you just did inputs here with respect to the way the model did it, and on the expense ends of things, on the expense side of things. Sorry.
Sorry, I did the stabilization and I chose because of the high R&M in 2020, I chose to take the averages between 2021 and 2022 for the stabilization. And it was sorry.
So essentially just modeled this to suit the model driven number. You just you just stabilize it to suit the model driven number.
I with the stabilization, it was just to show that the model driven value was supported.
So you did this mechanically yourself, then you like, right, to stabilize there. You did this
Yes,
yourself. Sorry.
I did the stabilization.
Thank you. Those are all the questions I have answered here. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. McCubbin. Mr. Purvis, questions for the assessor?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Del Oro.
No, I have no questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have a couple questions on your page 4.
Yes.
I see that you, for the maintenance and repair, you did take out that 75,000. Obviously, something different's going on in that year. So you just stabilized based on the 2 years, right?
Right, yeah, for the maintenance and repair.
Okay. What is happening with property taxes? They go from 22 to 10.
This is, I don't have an explanation for this. This is just what I was reported on the mailers. These are the
Okay.
values that I would have taken.
Okay, so would this reflect though the actual property taxes? Based on,
6,000 does seem quite low for the property, but just going off of the mailers that the property had sent in, that is what was reported for.
okay, so you did not verify based on the actual property tax bill then?
Correct, I did not.
Okay. Okay, okay, I think that's all my questions. Thank you. Mr. McCubbin, your presentation, please.
Thanks, Madam Chair. So dealing with 100 Yonge Street, the file number is 24-3369. The 2025 realty assessment is 1,503,000. And we're asking for the assessed value to be reduced to 1,089,000. Not going to go through a description of the property, Madam Chair. It's already been done. But I will go to page 11 of my presentation. Brief discussion about the income summary. We're disputing the assessors market gross rents of 170,727. We're using 170,276. It's a big dispute there. We're applying a vacancy rate of 3.6%, same as the city. We were disputing the assessor's expense allowance of 87,903. We're using 105,717, so that's a significant point. Significant difference. We're applying we're disputing the assessor's capitalization rate of 5.1%, and we're using 5.5%, Madam Chair. So the resulting market value using the inputs from that discussion is 101,089,000 rounded, and you can see the way it's calculated on page 15. And page 16, you can see the repair and maintenance schedule for the years. And finally, on page 17, we respectfully request the board revision reduce the 2025 realty assessment for subject property at 100 Yonge Street from 1,503,000 to 1,089,000. And I'm open for questions now, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Omachinsky,
I have no questions. Thank you.
thank you. Mr. Purvis?
I don't have any questions.
Ms. Del Oro?
I have no questions either, Madam Chair. Thank you.
So I was also looking at the expenses on this one, Mr. McCubbin, and it seems that the big difference, about $18,000 difference in the expenses between the two of you, notwithstanding the percent change, it's really $18,000. It's in the R&M and it's in the property taxes.
Right.
There's a few little adjustments here and there, give or take a few dollars, but for the most part, those are the two categories. So, Mr. McCubbin, you are using an R&M of 36,000, whereas the city's using 25, and the difference seems to me is Altus is using a 3-year stabilization. The city uses a 2-year stabilization, and that was enough to make a change of about $9,000.
Yes, I suspect it was, Madam Chair. If you
Yeah.
look at, yeah.
And the
sorry.
tax.
Yes.
Now, I do think your 2021 tax of $1,000 isn't correct. There might be.
Yeah, that, I'm not sure what happened there, Madam Chair.
You're also using the 6168.
Yeah, for the year 2022.
Which is weird.
Yes.
And so the difference in tax, whereas Mr. Omachinsky is using the previous year's taxes, which is the 6168, you're taking an average. And the difference of that is about $7,000. So
Yeah.
between those two lines, that's $18,000, which is the dollar difference in your expenses, not the ratio. The ratio is just the percentage. I'm looking at dollars. Your EGIs are really close.
Yes.
So it's all in the expenses and how you calculated them.
Yeah.
So can we just focus on your R&M for the first part, Mr. McCubbin, and there's no detail in here. So you've just basically taken the reported numbers, deleted the 2 high years, and based it on the 3 remaining years, 2018, 20, and 21, correct?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
We feel that it should be, we took out the 2 top numbers. Obviously they dumped a lot of used a lot of money in those years for R&M, and then it sort of dropped.
Yeah. Now, you took a different approach on real estate taxes. You didn't use the actual previous year, as I've seen other briefs do. Other Altus briefs do. You instead take an average. Can you explain why the average? It's a seems to me it's a bit of a departure in methodology.
Yeah, it certainly would be. I mean, you don't average taxes, you use it for the year that it's that it applies to, because that's one certainty, right? That you can, one certainty, but
and it says see calculations again, so without seeing them, I kind of don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and I don't have those calculations in my brief, obviously. You know, it's rather strange that the assessor and I came up with the same tax amount for 22.
So I can understand that. You went to the same source to get them, so I get that.
Yeah, and then we diverged in the stabilization, I guess. Or no, sorry, we diverged in the last year in 2020. Oh, the average for 2020 2022 is 999.06. I get what you're saying, Matt. Yeah, I don't know. I can look in a file quickly and see, but maybe that may be putting in additional items. I don't know.
Okay.
The 2020 year is really high,
Yeah.
2249, and then it drops to 1,000, then it's 6168, and then it's
Yeah,
fire in this building. I
and Mr.
mechanics,
Kapinski is using the same number, except instead of 1,000, his number is 10,000.
right.
And, but again, using the actual property taxes, not,
I'm sure if you could bear with me for a second, I can go right to that file, and if I don't put in, I won't be putting in direct evidence. I just want to see if there's an explanation there that I can.
anyway, okay, well,
Do you need the next?
no, I was just trying to sort it out in my own mind,
No,
because
fair
I
enough.
did
Yeah,
focus
no.
on the expenses also, and was looking for $18,000 worth of difference, and that's what I came up with as
Yeah.
being the key changes. I mean, I did all my calculations on this.
Yeah,
Comparing the two numbers, right? And I mean, for the most part, they mirrored each other with a few small little exceptions, but they were minor. So it's
right.
really just the
Yeah,
RMAP and the tax.
there's got to be, there's got to be an explanation for that, for the tax rate applied, Madam Chair. I don't really want to take another break to figure this out, but maybe I can do it quickly while we're online here. If you bear with me, please. Seems like I've lost the drive. Share, but just bear with me. Disappeared on me. I'll be right there, Madam Chair.
Yep.
Streets. Get the spreadsheet up here. Sure, see if I can figure it out from there. If not, I will just explanation. In 2022, Madam Chair, the taxes says here, I'm not putting in like, it says here 16,794. Seems more like it. 2022 taxes.
That was 2022.
Yes, I'm reading off of and I'm not sure whether this is, well, it's in our system. $16,794.71 is the 2022 taxes, Madam Chair. And the 2022 rebate, it says 37.5%. So oh yeah, but you can't calculate that. 31, it brings it down to 31.32, Madam Chair, with the 37%. 37.5% rebate.
That number still doesn't hold then, right?
No. No.
Well, maybe we just don't have a answer for this hearing anyway. Something to, curious, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, but that's a good pick there, Madam Chair. Yeah, there's gotta be an explanation for it, and I
Yeah.
don't at the moment.
Okay. Okay. We'll move past it then. Okay, Mr. Omachinsky, your rebuttal evidence will also apply to this property also, okay? And would you care to do summation?
No summation needed, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McCubbin?
None for me, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. That will conclude item number 5. Okay, let's move to item number 6 on our agenda. This is file number 24-3374, 120 Young Street. Mr. Omachinsky.
All right, thank you. This is file number 24-3374, rule number 120909699100. Address is 120 Young Street, roll year 2025, reference date April 1st, 2023. Assessed value is $1,726,000. Classification 20, liability T. There's one building, 2 stories. The actual and effective year built is 1951. There's 20 suites with 12 outdoor parking spots. There will be another verbal recommendation. It will not be adjusting the cap rate this time. It will be adjusting the net operating income to 70,918 with a
Can you
cap rate
repeat
of
that number, please? 70?
70918, $70,918.
Okay,
With a 5.25% cap rate for a total assessed value rounded of $1,351,000.
1351.
Correct.
Okay, so your verbal rec is to reduce the NOI to 70,918,000 with a capitalization rate of 5.25 for a total reduced value of 1,351,000. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Mr. McCubbin, do you accept the verbal recommendation?
No, I do not, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Omachinsky.
Thank you. We will go to page 3 just for the income value summary. So for number of units, we have 16 bachelor and 4 one bedroom for a total of 20 units. The average monthly rent per unit is $788.62. Gross potential rent is $189,000. Oh, I apologize. Because the NOI has changed, this may not be necessary. So I'll go on to page 4 for the rent comparables. The effective year built for these comparables range from 1939 to 1989. Total number of units, 12 to 44. Number of bachelor, 0 to 21. Number of one bedroom, 6 to 25. Average monthly rent per unit ranges from $704 to $925. Pages 5 and 6 is capitalization rate information and evidence, followed by the Municipal Assessment Act. And on page 8, we have the aerial photo, as well as a street photo of the subject property, as well as some, be it few, photos I was able to find of the interior of the property online, followed by the income and expense questionnaires for 2022 and 2021, as well as the multifamily questionnaire on page 11. And that would be, I guess, sorry, to offer some insight as to my new NOI. Reviewing the Altus brief and their breakdown, it would be all things the same, but taking the average like I did the previous property of 2021 and 2022's R&M, and not using the R&M for 2020, just due to the due to it being over $3,500 per unit in maintenance. That would be my presentation. I am open for questions.
Thank you very much. Mr. McCubbin.
I have no questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Del Oro.
Just one. This property as well is a sister or twin property to the previous one. The same owner, same year built.
I believe here, let me double check. I believe that there is a difference in 100 and 120 for year built, but I just wanted to quickly double check.
Okay. I'm just looking at your photos. They look
No, you're correct. Yeah, the property manager is the same for both buildings, so I believe it's under the same management. I know that there is an additional unit for 100, so it wouldn't be an exact sister property, but it would likely be similar.
okay. Thank you. That was my only question.
Thank you, Ms. Del Oro. Mr. Purvis, questions?
I don't have any questions that haven't been answered already. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Omachinsky, you don't provide a re-stabilization or recalculation to get to your new NOI, do you?
No, not provided in this brief.
Okay, so you used your model up into the EGI and then just adjusted the expenses, or what did you do?
I use the Altus Group stabilization, less the 2020 repair
Okay,
and maintenance.
so you use their actual page 15, you just changed the R&M.
Correct. Yeah, it was just I changed the R&M to an average of 2021 and 2022 instead of I believe their breakdown they used the average of 2018, 2021, and 2022.
Okay, so that meant, okay, I see then. You took out the 2020 R&M, which is 3 times higher than the next 2 years, right? Okay,
Correct.
okay. And you maintained your cap rate, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I have no additional questions. Mr. McCubbin.
Thanks, Madam Chair. 120 Young Street, file number 24-3374. Current 2025 realty assessment is $1,726,000. The requested 2025 assessment is $990,000. Will not go through the description of the property, Madam Chair. So it's already been done. On page 12, we have the income approach, potential market rent. We're disputing the assessor's market gross rent of $189,269. We're applying potential market gross rent of $170,030, and it's based on the actual stabilized income of the subject property. We're using 3.6% vacancy allowance. We're disputing the assessor's expense allowance of $91,830. We're using an expense allowance of $108,770 based on the actual stabilized expenses of the subject property on page 13. We're disputing the assessor's capitalization rate of 5.25%. We're using a capitalization rate of 5.75. And the resulting market values of April 1st, 2025, using those inputs is $990,000 rounded. On page 15, you can see the income summary, Madam Chair, and the breakdown of the expenses. Page 16, you can see the repair and maintenance. And on page 17, we respectfully request the Board of Division to reduce the 2025 realty assessment for the subject property located at 120 Yonge Street from $1,726,000. That's $1,726,000 to $990,000. And I'm open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCubbin. Mr. Omachinsky, questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Purvis, any questions for the applicant?
I don't have any questions. Everything looks.
Thank you. Ms. Del Oro?
Just to confirm, so the property sold in June 2008 for $945,000, and you're requesting $990,000 Last
That is
year.
correct. I have not investigated that sale, Madam Chair. It's
Okay.
it's too far off the mark, and I'm not sure. I'm sure there's some explanation with respect to that, but it bears no I guess what I'm saying is it bears no importance with respect to the 2023 current value. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My only question is again with the R and M on page 16, Mr. McCubbin. I see that the numbers for 2019 and 20 are highlighted in red.
Yeah.
Which indicates that they were taken out of your calculation. You still use 2018 though, right? Which is 2
57.
plus times that of 2021 and 2022. Did you consider, or did you, there's no detail, so did you consider taking that out also, given that it's more than double the expenditures for 3 years later?
I guess one can look at it this way, Madam Chair, like we have high expenses for years 2018, 2019, and 2020. So we've
Yeah.
got those. Maybe we should just leave, I guess one can look at it, we can just leave those in and omit the 21 and 2022, which are 2 years and they're low.
Yeah, that's true.
You can look at it that way too, but
It's hard to know, right? Because there's no
Yeah.
detail.
yeah, we just stabilized it at 35,471, which is less than a 57, the high number after you omit the 2 large ones, but
Right,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I appreciate what you're saying, because without the reported detail, you kind of don't know, right?
Right. Yeah, I don't know what the break. They can very well be legit, and I'm sure they're legitimate expenses, Madam Chair.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm
It's
not
just like
suggesting they're not. Yeah,
yeah, it's just maybe there's deferred maintenance happen, and then they
yeah,
have to like really like pour money into the building for 3 years, and then they eased off. That could be
yeah,
it. I don't.
yeah, for sure. Okay, thank you. I have no additional questions, Mr. McCubbin. Mr. Omachinsky, your rebuttal evidence will stand for this property also?
Yes, please.
Thank you. And would you care for summation?
No need, thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. McCubbin, summation?
Me neither, Madam Chair.
Okay, thanks. That will conclude item number 6.
Okay.
Item number 7, also on Yonge Street, 545 Yonge Street, file number 242110. Mr. Omachinsky.
Thank you. This is file number 24-2110, roll number 1305-1372-100. The address is 545 Yonge Street. Roll year 2025, reference date April 1st, 2023. The assessed value is 1,902,000. Classification 20, liability T. There's one building with 3 stories. The actual and effective year built is 1959. There's 23 suites with 12 outdoor parking spots. We can go to page 3 for the income value summary by number of units. We have 22 one-bedroom units with 1 two-bedroom for a total of 23 units. The average monthly rent per unit is $794.82. Gross potential rent is $219,370. Vacancy rate is 3.6%. The effective gross income is $211,473. Expense rate being 52.34%. The net operating income is $100,788 with a capitalization rate of 5.3%. Estimated market value is $1,902,000. The market value per suite being $82,695.65. On the following page, we have the rent comparables. These comparables range for effective year from 1950 to 1989. Total number of units ranging from 11 to 18. Number of bachelor 0 to 6. Number of one bedroom 9 to 15. And number of two bedroom 0 to 3. The average monthly rent per unit ranges from $785 to $962. Pages 5 and 6, capitalization rate, information and evidence, followed by the municipal excerpts. And on page 8, we have an aerial photo as well as a street photo. And then we have some interior photos taken off of the internet from until page 11. And on page 12, we have the property income and expense questionnaire. And that follows to page 14, where we have the multifamily questionnaire as well as the rent roll on 15. And that would be my questions. That would be my presentation. I am open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Omachinsky. Mr. McCubbin, questions?
I have no questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Purvis, questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Del Oro?
I have no questions either. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And I do not have questions either, Mr. Omachinsky. So, Mr. McCubbin, your presentation, please.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. 545 Yonge Street, file number 24-2110. Current assessed value 2025 realty assessment story is $1,902,000, and we're asking it for it to be reduced to $1,687,000. I'm not going to go through the description of the improvements, so we go right to the income approach on page 12. We're applying a potential market gross rent of $207,396 based on the actual stabilized income of the subject property. We're applying a vacancy allowance of 1.7%, and we're applying an expense allowance of $111,132. We're using a capitalization rate of 5.75 for this specific property. And using those inputs, the resulting market values of April 1st, 2023 is therefore $1,687,000 rounded. On page 15, you can see the income summary page, breakdown of expenses. And on page 16, you can see the repair and maintenance for the subject property. And finally, we respectfully request the Board of Revision to reduce the 2025 realty assessment for the subject property located at 545 Yonge Street from $1,902,000 to $1,687,000. And that's my presentation. I'm open to questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCubbin. Mr. Omachinsky, questions for the applicant?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Del Oro, do you have questions for the applicant?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Purvis, questions?
I also have no questions.
Thank you very much. And I have no questions either, Mr. McCubbin. Mr. Omachinsky, I know your rebuttal evidence for this property also. And would you care for summation?
No need for summation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McCubbin?
No need here, Madam Chair. Thanks.
Thank you so much. All right. Moving to our final property on our agenda. Item number 8. This is file number 24-3033-356 Yonge Street. Mr. Omachinsky.
Thank you. This is file number 24-3033, roll number 1305-114-1500. The address is 356 Yonge Street, roll year 2025, reference date April 1st, 2023. The assessed value is $2,757,000, classification 20, liability G. There's one building with 6 stories. The actual and effective year built is 1985. There are 30 suites with 24 outdoor parking spots. And I will be making one more recommendation, just bumping the cap rate from 5.05% to 5.25% for this property, but maintaining the model NOI of $139,240. And that would give us a new assessed value of $2,652,000 rounded.
Okay, let me just repeat that so I have the numbers right. You're making a recommendation to increase the cap rate to 5.25 based on the model NOI results in a new value of $2,652,000.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McCubbin, do you accept the recommendation?
No, we do not, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Omachinsky, back to you to make your presentation, please.
Thank you. So on page 3, we have the income value summary for the number of units. So we have 20 2-bedroom units and 10 3-bedroom units for a total of 30 units. Excuse me one more. For a gross potential rent of $348,048, vacancy rate of 3.6%, effective gross income of $335,518, expense rate of 58.50%, a net operating income of $139,240, and a market value per suite at $91,900. On page 4, we have the CMHC October 2022 private apartment average rents. So because this is a Manitoba housing property, I made a table which breaks down the averages for the CMHC zone, the year that the building was constructed, and the unit breakdown, building unit count. So for the CMHC potential rents for this property, we would have $471,960 compared to our current modeled rent of $348,048. So the percentage of market rents would be 73.75%, which is quite a bit lower than our modeled rent. On page 6, we have rent comparables. So for the effective year built, it ranges from 1950 to 1989. Total number of units being 12 to 48, number of bachelor 0 to 6, 1 bedroom 2 to 20, 2 bedroom 0 to 24, and I did not find comparables reasonable with 3 bedroom units. So we have none for the comparables here. But the average monthly rent per unit ranges from $962 to $1,037. Following pages 7 and 8 are capitalization rate information and evidence with the assessment excerpts. And then on page 10, we have the aerial photo as well as a street photo of the property. On page 11, we have a permit that dates back to 2000, but it's just for balcony repairs and waterproofing and exterior wall waterproofing. And this would be a declared construction value of $130,000. The following on page 12 is an additional $25,000 permit for structural alterations to include replacements of the existing concrete wall separating the balconies between the 5th and 6th floor. And this one would date to 2016. And that would be my presentation. I'm open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Omachinsky. Mr. McCubbin, questions for the assessor?
I have no questions at this point, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Purvis, questions for the assessor?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Del Oro, questions?
Just one. Your verbal recommendation to increase the cap to 5.25%, which is in line with your previous property's recommendation. Did you consider any additional adjustment for this being a social housing?
Yeah, that was part of the reasoning behind the additional adjustment, just because this is quite a bit newer property compared to the other recommendations that I'd made to cap rate. So that consideration was partially due to it being social housing as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I have no additional questions. Mr. McCubbin?
Thanks, Madam Chair. 356 Yonge Street, file number 24-3033. The 2025 realty assessment is $2,757,000. We're requesting a 2025 realty assessment of $2,236,000. And I'll dispel the description of the property, and we'll go straight to the income approach on page 14. Subject property is best described as social housing. It operates on a rent guarantee income. Our GI basis, therefore, the income achieved by the property is not deemed to be at market. For the purposes of this report, we're accepting the market gross rents from the assessor, $335,518 sorry. And we're applying an expense allowance of $201,400 or 60% of the effective gross income based on the actual stabilized expenses of the subject property. So it's fairly high, the expense ratio. And then we have a blurb here, Madam Chair, about the capitalization rate for social housing. Subject property is usually basic finishes with landlord and air conditioning. And without landlord and air conditioning, low income tenancy. And then you can go on and see the way the Manitoba Municipal Board advises to look at cap rates when we're applying it to these types of properties. Low income tenancy, there's a blurb there too, so I'm not going to go through that, but just going to the capitalization rate of the subject. For the purpose of this report, we're disputing the assessor's capitalization rate of 5.05. We're using cap rate of 6%. So you can see the comments there with respect to the property specific situation. 1985 property is 37 years old. Masonry. I don't know why that would be negative. Building amenities, social housing, no amenities. No history of economic profit for this property. The condition is inferior as they usually are with these types of properties. And parking, 13 spaces. Whether that's neither here nor there, because the tenancies probably do not have their own car, or maybe it's a public transit. Capitalization rate of the subject, that's the capitalization. I went through that already, sorry. So, given my discussion that just took place in regards to this property, the market value as of April 1st, 2023 is $2,235,000, and it can be found on page 21, the calculation of that assessed value, and on page 22, you can see repairs and maintenance information. And in summary, respectfully request the Board of Division to reduce the 2025 realty assessment for the subject property located at 356 Yonge Street from $2,756,000 to $2,235,000. And I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Mr. McCubbin. Mr. Omachinsky, questions for Mr. McCubbin?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Del Oro, do you have questions for the applicant?
I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Purvis, questions?
No questions from me, thank you.
Thank you, and I have no questions either. Mr. Omachinsky, I know your rebuttal evidence will apply to this property also. And would you care for summation?
No need. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McCubbin, summation?
No need for me, Madam Chair, thanks.
Thank you very much. That concludes item number 8. And with that, we have now heard all the items scheduled, and this hearing is now adjourned. Thank you, Mr. Omachinsky and Mr. McCubbin, for your presentations today.
Thanks, Madam Chair, board members.
Have a good rest of your day.
Yes,
Thanks,
thank
Chair.
you.
Thank you,
This is my
everybody.
last one for the season.
Oh, wow, okay.